People don't always say the nicest of things when they get the worst of news. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn of the Barbie, and get ready for it, because this first one is a bit infuriating. Am I the asshole for freaking out at my mum after finding out who my biological father is? For my whole life, I never knew who my biological father was. My mum and family have always been super secretive about it. Recently, my mum decided to tell me as I just turned 16, and she felt I was old enough to know now after I asked her. She sat me down in the living room and told me that my bio dad was her ex-stepfather, aka my grandmother's ex-husband. I felt extremely disgusted and disappointed at my mum and said to her, "No wonder Grandma hates being around you. You couldn't keep your legs closed long enough to keep away from Grandma's husband. And I am completely disgusted with you. I don't even know if I can look at you the same way." I said a lot of other stuff too. I wasn't really kind with my words. My mum cried and said, "I'm really sorry. My actions ended up hurting a lot of people. It's something I live with every day. Just know that my actions don't define you." I told my mum to save her words and I went to my room. I never thought in a million years that this would be the outcome. I feel grossed out and a little disgusted with myself. Everything honestly started making sense though. The way my grandmother acts around me, and how the only times I ever go to her house is on holidays when my younger siblings go to her house a lot more. There's always been this weird tension when my mum and grandma are a lot in my room, or when they speak to each other. No one ever wanted to talk to me about my bio dad. My stepdad came into my room after a few hours, and he asked me how I'm feeling, and told me that he understands why I'm upset, and I have every right to be. But that doesn't give me the right to speak to my mum the way I did, and that I should apologize. And then he went on about how my mother sacrificed a lot for me, and was always there for me when I needed her. Which is true. My mum has always been an amazing mother, and from what I've seen, a good person. I always felt loved by her. After my stepdad spoke to me, I started feeling really bad at how I spoke to my mum, but at the same time, I feel like she deserves it because she betrayed my grandma. This is stuff I felt was important to add when I reread everything. I summarize everything so I wouldn't be writing a novel. My mum was 19 when she got into a relationship with my bio dad, and my grandma was on the edge of divorce and was living in separate houses at the time. Am I the asshole for freaking out at my mum when I found out who my bio dad is? I think you're looking at this situation the wrong way. I think she was 19 years old and got taken advantage of by a much older man. It seems like this is very predatory behavior. I'm going to guess that this man was in her life for quite a long time. That doesn't seem like quite a situation for you to start yelling at her and saying all these obscene things that would really upset your mother and shaming her like that. Like, you don't know the full story here. She felt that you were ready to know this information at 16 and she felt like you could handle it, and obviously she was wrong and you couldn't handle that information. You did the exact opposite of what you should have done. Shame on you for that. You're definitely the asshole. Now in the comments, Consistent Leopard 71 says, "You're the asshole. Your mother was 19 years old, all of 3 years older than you are now, when a grown man, her own stepfather, took advantage of her and got her pregnant. Think about that for a minute. Instead of realizing the amazing breach of trust and power imbalance involved in that particular relationship, and that your step-grandfather was a predator, you shamed your own mother and decided that she, at 19 years old, bears all of the responsibility here. I realize that you're only 16, but you have absolutely no empathy for the woman who you claim has always been a good and loving mother to you. Get some therapy to help you process your feelings. And OP, apologize to your mother immediately for your deeply unfortunate gut reaction." A good reminder that to a 16-year-old, a 19-year-old seems like a real adult, and to a real adult, there's almost no differences between the two. Both seem like clueless kids to someone in their 30s. I think Mum has been punished enough for that period in her life. She doesn't need to hear everything she's likely already thought about herself from the mouth of her own teenaged daughter. Think about it this way. What would have to happen for you to sleep with your stepdad? Emotional manipulation, grooming, abuse, coercion, gaslighting, shaming her? maybe all the way to assault. Imagine the amount of those things that would have to happen to you to do what your mum did and realize that she is the victim and that you and her mum have failed her. You basically victim shamed. You're the asshole. You can feel like your world is rocked and you're entitled to feel lied to, but where you obviously lacked empathy is to blame only your mother for this situation. The blame lies with your grandmother and ex-husband, and now a little lies with you for victim shaming. Our next post is by user Throwaway, titled, "Am I the asshole for telling a woman to get over something that happened 10 years ago?" So I'm 19 male. When I was around 9, I went to a summer camp where there was a counselor I really didn't have an opinion on. I remembered she was really strict, but the only really annoying thing she did was poke me in the ribs when I was refusing to get in line. I said, "Don't poke me." But she did it again a few hours later when I wasn't getting in line. I just said the same thing, and she then said, "Then get in line." And that was it. I didn't even remember this until today. When I got a message on Instagram, it said, "Hey, maybe you don't remember me, but I was your camp counselor about 10 years ago. I remember one time I poked you and you asked me not to, and I did it again anyway. And I just wanted to apologize. I know that a single apology can't undo the lifelong damage that I did to you or your sense of boundaries, but I want you to know that I take full responsibility for it." At first I thought it was a joke, but then I looked at her profile and it was certainly something. She apparently has a lot of mental health issues, but after realizing it wasn't a joke, I was kinda weirded out. I messaged her back saying, "I'm sorry, but why are you still thinking about something like this after 10 years? I didn't even remember until you sent this message, and it's weird that you were thinking so much about it that you looked up my name and reached out like this. It was 10 years ago, and it seriously wasn't a big deal. You need to get over it." A few minutes later, I got a 3-paragraph message from her saying that it was extremely rude of me to tell someone to just get over something, and that I don't get to decide what is and isn't a big deal. Basically, she went from being overly apologetic to dragging me for telling her to get over it. I blocked her, but I can't stop thinking about this. On the one hand, this is something that she should have to let go way before now. On the other, I feel like I was a bit direct with this obviously mentally unwell woman. Am I the asshole? Now in the comments, the Riker maneuver says, "Everyone sucks here. Let me give you a piece of advice that will serve you well in your life. You are not required to respond to every message and email that you get. Sure, this is really weird, and once you went to this person's profile and saw that clearly something is off, you should have come to the conclusion that ignoring this message was the best course of action. But you didn't. Instead, you responded and invited crazy into your life, and now this crazy person might fixate on you and continue to contact you and harass you. Never invite drama into your life. If you don't want to engage with someone, don't." I feel like 90% of people's problems via online communication could be solved by this. It's literally so much easier just to block and delete than engage with people who are obviously not worth your time or mental energy. You're the asshole. You just as easily could have typed a single sentence, "Thank you for the apology. I never dwelled on it, but I appreciate the thought. Look, the conversation is over, and I wasn't an asshole." Seriously, there are thousands of posts on here about how apologies are never sincere enough. This counselor obviously felt terrible about what she did, for whatever reason. I'm not going to judge her mental health based on OP's statements, and reached out to apologize. It would have been the easiest thing in the world to say, "Thanks for thinking of me. It didn't in fact damage me, but it was really nice of you to reach out. Take care. You are the asshole. And you're the asshole. It may not be a big deal to you, but obviously to her, it was. You don't know the backstory. Maybe she's in some sort of therapy or a 12-step program that requires her to make amends. Or it's just something that stuck with her and she felt bad about it. It would have cost you nothing to say, "Oh, no apology necessary. I don't hold this against you." Just be more empathetic. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for not letting my parents into my son's life after they secretly tested his DNA? I met my wife Sonia at a restaurant where she worked as a waitress. It took me a while to finally be her boyfriend. I introduced her to my parents, and they voiced out their disapproval after meeting her. My parents think that Sonia is only using me to achieve her American dream. I told them that's racist, and I'm very offended by their assumption. After my wife accepted my marriage proposal, we asked for both our families' blessings. Her parents were happy for us, but my parents were gutted and refused to give their blessing. Because of this, we decided to elope and only invited my brother and Sonia's best friends to be our witnesses. Long story short, now that we're 2 years married, and after we welcomed our first child, my parents started to reach out to us. My kind-hearted wife didn't think twice to welcome my parents into our lives, and she let them meet our baby 2 days after being discharged from the hospital. My parents visit us regularly, and one day while Dad and Mum are playing with Gareth, Mum said something along the lines of, "Aren't you the cutest baby ever? I'm so glad to confirm you are indeed my grandson." She didn't know I was around because she looked startled when I said, "What is that supposed to mean?" Mum tried to change the subject, but I insisted that she tell me what she's talking about. Mum sat me down and apologized first before telling me that they had Gareth's DNA tested to make sure that he's mine. I was speechless for a moment, and before I blew up from anger, I told my dad to give me my son and that they better leave before I lose whatever respect I had left for them. My mum was very apologetic and said it's because they don't trust my wife and that our son looks nothing like me. I didn't argue anymore, and I told them to get out of my house. My wife was in the kitchen preparing for lunch, and I told her my parents had an emergency, and that's why they left without saying a word. I didn't tell my wife about the whole DNA test thing until after 2 weeks when she asked why my mum and dad didn't visit anymore. I told her everything, as I know I cannot keep a secret from her. She started crying, and it broke my heart. I know how much she tried to win my parents' approval, and what I told her was like a slap across the face. That night, she told me that she can no longer let my parents into our child's life, and I agreed with her. When Mum called to ask when they can visit again, I told them they're no longer welcome in our son's life. Mum called my dad, and I told him the same thing. He was livid. He called me ungrateful and cruel. He also said a few choice words about my wife, which angered me more. I didn't even hear the rest because I just hung up. Did I overreact? Am I the asshole? Look, to be honest, I don't think you overreacted in this situation. I think your reaction to their actions is more than understandable. You're standing up for yourself, your child, and your wife. That what they've done to you is absolutely disrespectful and never something that should be condoned. It is absolutely not normal to order a DNA test to prove that your grandchild is in fact yours because you don't trust the wife, and then continue to have choice words about said wife, then say that you're ungrateful and cruel. That is just textbook projection. They are the ones that are ungrateful, they are the ones that are cruel. They don't deserve your sympathy, they don't deserve time with their grandson. These two have done nothing to earn your trust or respect. All they've shown is that they can't be trusted and they will continue to do the wrong thing in your life. You don't need that. You're not the asshole for cutting them off. Now in the comments, DW Wishmaster says, "Not the asshole." And to all of you saying that you should not deprive your child of a relationship with his grandparents, they are openly racist towards his wife / the mother of this child. They will make remarks about that, they will make him feel bad about his heritage, and they will talk badly about his mother even when he is there. Don't let them into your life, and stay your ground. This so much. A relationship with loving, decent grandparents can benefit a child. A relationship with toxic, racist grandparents can harm a child. Part of parenting is protecting your child from harmful people, even if there's a familial and genetic connection. Agreed. Until OP's parents see the error of their racist, boundary-crossing ways, educate themselves, and apologize to OP and wife, they are not going to be able to be loving grandparents to this child, even if they're present in the child's life. It is possible for people to learn and do better on these issues. Grandchildren can be a powerful motivation for seeing racism for what it is and letting go of it. People can change, but it can take years. I don't think I could ever trust someone again who would go as far as doing a secret DNA test. Not the asshole. Your parents are racist and your son is better off without them. Exactly. OP, how could you possibly be the asshole in this situation? Your parents didn't believe your child was yours because they are racist and don't like your wife. You don't need people like that in your life. Not the asshole. Assholes have a unique way of manipulating and guilting their victims into thinking that they are in the wrong, and since they're his parents, they've probably been doing it for some time. I can see how OP might need some objective validation here. And our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for skipping my mum's wedding because they didn't let me go on a trip?" So I live with my flatmate quite far away from my parents and brother, so I just visit them for special occasions. It was my brother's birthday, now 17 male, 2 weeks ago, and they were going on a small trip. I'd given them money to pitch in on an Airbnb, as well as pitched in on my brother's gift, and I'd rearranged my schedule to be able to go on the trip. All of that only for my brother to tell me that he doesn't want me to come. He's upset about some misandrist posts that I've made or things I've said. Obviously I was upset, and my parents, my mum and stepdad, but I consider him my dad, said it was his birthday trip and I shouldn't be there if I'm going to upset. They said they would just pay me back. Yesterday was my mum's wedding and I didn't go. She was really sad and very upset with me. I didn't go because I think it was wrong for my mum and stepdad to defend my brother and blame me, especially after I spent my money and completely rearranged my schedule, cancelling on friends and obligations. Am I the asshole? OP, I think that these are two completely separate things. Your brother had a reason to not want you there because you cause upset for controversial posts that you've made. He chose not to allow you to his birthday party because of that, and it was reasonable that your parents supported him on that. It is unreasonable for you to then turn around and not go to this wedding in retaliation for that. This is very childish behavior, and if this is the hill you want to die on, then so be it. But your mother did nothing wrong to you in this situation. You're just being an asshole. So my judgment is you're the asshole. Now in the comments, Belang Loser User says, "It smells like you conveniently left some important information out. What did you say to your brother that made him upset? You're the asshole. Why do you take your anger out on your mother when you have beef with your brother? Why do you even go so far to do that over some teenage birthday trip?" Yeah, I'm going with you're the asshole until OP explains what they said to their brother to upset him. When information like that is deliberately left out, it is usually for a reason. In my opinion, it's you're the asshole either way. It wasn't the mum's birthday, it was their brother's. Mum shouldn't not have much say over who their nearly adult child wants to go with for their birthday. Maybe their parents could pay OP back, but it sounds to me like OP gave them money willingly without being asked, so they aren't obligated to by any means. OP is taking this out on the wrong person entirely, as their parents have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on between them and their brother. You're the asshole. Your brother didn't want you on his birthday trip, so in protest you don't go to your mum's wedding. What the F kind of logic is that? Wow, and to think none of you took into consideration that the brother and the other members of the family could have said that you were not welcome at any time, but instead waited until after OP had already paid for the trip and rescheduled their life. So honestly, it seems more like the family has always been undermining OP, and when what they want didn't happen, it made them upset like narcissists. Obviously there isn't enough info here, but honestly it seems like the mum got what she deserved. Don't choose to side with your kids if you don't want fallout. Look, to be fair, we don't know what kind of posts OP made, what was said, and why it upset the brother. OP's brother may be completely justified to ask OP not to come because it would have made him feel deeply uncomfortable. I have a family member that I love who has recently started ranting online about a certain topic. His rants also trickle into in-person interactions, and I do not wish to interact with him right now. He is exhausting at the moment, so I understand how you sometimes just need a break from family members if they have very loud and strong opinions that they voice constantly, especially if those are offensive in nature. And OP, Would you think your parents were assholes if they stopped someone you didn't want around coming to your birthday? I can understand it upsetting you, but refusing to go to your parents' wedding because of it, that's a once-in-a-lifetime affair for a couple, and I don't see what you've achieved here other than deeply hurting your parents, and they were only upholding your brother's wishes. It would be an asshole move if you missed your brother's wedding over this, but at least your petty spite would have been aimed at the person who caused your wounds to begin with. You're the asshole. Yup, this. OP took out their frustration on the wrong party. I can only imagine that they felt that punishing the parents would result in the parents putting pressure on the brother to make a different decision next time. It would be interesting to see the introductory Am I the Asshole situation, which would be OP sharing their misandrous posts that caused the brother to uninvite them in the first place. That would provide some clarity on whether the parents were actually being assholes and skipping their wedding was appropriate. But given the info we have, it's pretty clear you're the asshole for OP. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.